right, time for a check of your weather on this Thursday. Happy Friday Eve. And Jed, a lot going on this morning, a lot of rain and coastal flooding warning as well.
Right, and a cold front offshore, gusty winds. We just saw a gust of 41 at the airport in North Charleston. Combination of some showers kind of collapsing around the sensor and then these gusty winds rolling through. So certainly a lot to talk about. Let's start out with what's really on the top of everyone's mind today and tomorrow. High tide right at 10 today, tomorrow right at 11. A couple hours before that and after that, we will see coastal flooding, potentially into that major flooding category. And again, this is just because of our full moon high tide cycles in combination with these gusty northeast winds. So as a result, we have seen the coastal flood advisories upgraded to warnings. They are in place from 8 a.m. today through 3 p.m. Friday. But again, it's really just right around those high tides, which is at 10 today, where we will likely see many closures downtown Charleston, and then 11 tomorrow. Additionally, as we get these northeast winds out over the open water, it generates swell, sends it in our direction. So not only do we have major coastal flooding on the table right at these two high tides, but we also have beach erosion too. So just a heads up there. Also, coastal storm forms offshore. That happens late Friday and into the weekend. I'll tell you more about that. Gusty winds already here. You notice the camera shaking there, and a gale warning that's in place through 11 p.m. Saturday. So we're dealing with this for several days. Now, the other thing I want to point out, look at these showers that have developed, and they're just kind of staying in the same areas for a while. We've actually seen almost a half inch up to nearly an inch in some spots. So actually getting some pretty healthy downpours this morning. So that in mind, keep the rain gear nearby. You'll likely need it around Charleston, especially where we're seeing the majority of these showers kind of stick around right now. Mid 60s inland, low 60s at the airport in Goose Creek. We have rain cooled air in place because not all of us are seeing the low 60s. Johns Island, Folly right at 70 degrees. We saw a gust of 41 earlier at the airport. Showers kind of collapsing in the area. These northeast winds are all here now and easily will be into that 20 to 30 mile per hour range today. Gust of 25 there in Somerville from out of the north and east. And offshore, even stronger, some gusts right there in the 30, 40 mile per hour range as well. So very breezy offshore. And again, once we get these winds to kind of switch around to a bit more easterly offshore, which happens late tonight into tomorrow, that generates swell, and that's headed in our direction. So that'll lead to some coastal erosion and, of course, more issues out there as far as the coastal flooding goes. So hanging out to these low 70s today. We were already there and we'll only warm up into the low 70s into the afternoon. So not much warmth today with cloud cover in place and gusty northeast winds that persist, like I said, into Friday in particular. So this is the time frame I'm really watching. Gives us a whole nother 24 plus hours of strong winds working across the Atlantic Ocean, generating swell, sending it in our direction, choppy ocean conditions, full moon high tide cycles. Not a good combo whatsoever along with those strong northeast winds. So for that reason, we declared a weather alert day Friday morning right around 11. This is why. If we end up verifying an 8.5 foot tide in the Charleston Harbor, that will lead to some major flooding. A lot of road closures, a lot of problems, especially downtown Charleston. Here's your early warning for that. And, we're dealing with that today, too, potentially just slightly above major flood stage. So this is later this evening, just showing you our coastal low developing down to the south as we go throughout Friday as well. And as that happens, you're going to get these gusty winds that continue to work right into the South Carolina, North Carolina coastline. So we will see a couple days of pretty gusty conditions, not ideal. But once this area of low pressure begins to lift to the north, which happens by Saturday afternoon or evening, then we're going to get a due north wind. And that'll actually help push water out of the harbor. And then actually as it moves up further to the north going into Sunday afternoon, then it's a pure northwest wind, which is perfect offshore. And then the problems with coastal flooding are pretty much gone here. But you notice what's happening in the Outer Banks and Mid-Atlantic. They're dealing with some pretty rough conditions there out of this system. Low 70s for us over the next several days. One thing that is definitely noticeable, once we get past these next couple of days, even by Sunday, the weather dramatically improves because that low moving up to our north means dry air filters in across the low country. So that means plenty of sunshine, comfortable temperatures into the upper 70s, overnight lows around 60, and again, dry conditions. So expecting it to be really nice as we get into much of next week. We just have to get through these next several days. And again, if you only remember one thing from my forecast, today at 10, tomorrow at 11, a couple hours above and below that high tide, we will see issues, coastal erosion, coastal flooding.